All right, so I'll press continue, right? Yes. Here we go.
Good afternoon. Okay, let's see here. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. This is a wonderful day that we have been allowed to see, and we're so glad about it. And we're glad that you have joined us on this platform, acknowledged as Project 365, where we bring messages of hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the whole wide world for 365 days, consecutive days at that. Well, I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated. And we have the great privilege and the honor and the assignment to bring you hope, encouragement, and inspiration. And you know, I always say those three words. I told you someone is going to have to make a song about hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Let me bring in my co-host.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takira Swan, and I am so happy to be here with you on this beautiful Wednesday. Today, we have two very special guests, and I really can't wait for us to start this topic. But before we get started, like I always say, please remember to go to our YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, so that you can help us bring hope, encouragement, and inspiration to the entire world.
The entire world. That is huge. But my faith is in God to know that that is going to happen. And I thank God because it's already started to happen. We're in many states around the United States of America, and we're also global as well, a couple of countries outside of the USA. So this message and the other messages that we brought to this platform and the messages after today are going to go around the whole wide world. And I believe as well that my words have power, and so do your words have power. So let's utilize that power that we have. Well, today I have the great privilege and the honor to welcome to the platform one of my classmates. One of my classmates, and this is from what? Let me see. Bob, what grade were we in?
We graduated in 1976. We were the bicentennial babies.
We were the bicentennial babies. And I tell you what, this guy right here, and it's amazing, this guy right here, he has an experience to share. Nice guy, comical guy, Lord Jesus, comical guy. What a great guy. And we love our classmates of 1976. And just letting you know, Bob, they are watching. We have a really lovable class, and I am proud to be a classmate with them. Well, today, again, we are going to welcome to the platform Bob Willey and Emma Diaz. And we just want to say thank you, first of all, for accepting our invitation to come and talk about this particular topic. And the topic is the use and abuse of opioids. And that is from the passion that Bob has, is the experience that his daughter had, and that the fact that she passed away as a result of using opioids. So we want to get the information from Bob as to how we can prevent other young people from going down this road. But also at the same time, it's just not young people. There are adults that abuse opioids that are, what can you say? So he's going to talk to children, teenagers, adults, everyone. And we have some statistics for you as well. And I also want to welcome in anyone who believes in hope, who believes in miracles, who believes in faith, who have faith, to know that you don't have to take that route. You just don't have to take that route. And they have some information as to how to help you not to take that route. Also, Bob has information on a project that he's working on in honor of his daughter, Roxanne, which is so beautiful. And if we can, I ask you, our audience, to support. So on that note, Bob, I'm going to share the platform with you. And Emma, you have it.
Well, thank you, Portia, and thank you for having us on this discussion of opioid abuse. Roxanne, as you said, she was a beautiful girl. She, she grew up. She was the life of everything that the wife and I did, and her older sister did. And you talk about the opioid addiction, the ages. Roxanne was 32 when she passed away. She was 27 when she started on her opioids. She fell down a flight of steps and hurt herself, her back and her hip. And next thing you know, she goes to the hospital and they give her opioids, oxycodone, that type of medication to help with the pain. And of course, pain continues. They give her more and give her more. And then all of a sudden they cut you off. And by then it was too late. She was already addicted. She wasn't living at home. She was a grown woman. And so, we see her maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. And she was very good at hiding it. And she was a very good manipulator in the end of her abuse, because they can manipulate you to get what they need. And that's the need for the drug. But Roxanne had a terrific job. She was single. She, after she got into the opioids, she lost her job. She got arrested for having drugs on her. Actually, her and another girl were in Seaford, Delaware, picking up a load to bring back to Cambridge, and they had 290 bags of heroin. 10 bags were for Roxanne, and that was on her person. And she did some time in the Delaware State Prison for Women up in Newark. She got out and got into a program in the state of Delaware, and which was a great program. She did well there. Then she also had, for the state of Maryland, she had to do like NA, Narcotics Anonymous, but we didn't feel that she was getting the proper help there. And we got her into a Christian-based group, which was Celebrate Recovery. I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but it's a very good group. And she was making big strides until the state come along and says, well, they're not authorized to sign off on her information that she's used, because she was going and getting she was on a methadone program to try to wean her off the heroin. So she went back to the NA, and don't get me wrong, a lot of people was going through the NA and all, but she just kind of fell back into that group and got herself in trouble again. We sent her away for her second time to be rehab. This time it was private and did well. She was clean for about 8 months. And from there, she came home and got involved with a group of young ladies in a church group over in Easton, and was doing real well. Then she got hung up with somebody, and it made a turn for the worst. We got a call from her probation officer in December of 2016 saying that she had failed her drug test. So, we sat down and had a talk with her. And so she agreed to go to another rehab. So this time the state told her where to go. And in the state program, it was only for 14 days. and we asked for 21 days. But the funding for the state, the funding wasn't there for the 21 days. So she came back and just kept right on going. It didn't help her. So we had contacted another private group and paid for it, and she was supposed to go away. And on March she left the house on March the 9th, gave me a kiss on the cheek. She said, "Love you, Daddy. See you tomorrow." And tomorrow never came. The next time we seen her, she had passed. They found her body on the side of the road in her vehicle on March the 10th, and her cause of death was cocaine, fentanyl intoxication. So the cocaine that she had bought the night before, which she had told me, and her probation officer told us that she had never failed a test for heroin again. It was cocaine. And so she got a bad batch of cocaine, and it had fentanyl in it, and that's what took her life. So my wife and I, we had decided that we were gonna do something in Roxanne's honor, not to die in vain, but also, and to back up a little bit, in that same week that Roxanne passed away, there was 2 other youths in Dorchester County that passed away from the same fentanyl, from the same batch of cocaine. So, and one of the gentlemen, one of the young boys is Joey Brown. I felt sorry for his parents because we were going through the same thing that they were going through. So it affects the whole family. And not try to get ahead of myself, but Lori and I kept it to ourselves. We didn't, the thing of a heroin addict, people think of the junkie down on the street corner or down in the alleyways. And Roxanne wasn't that, she was a pediatric dental assistant. She loved kids. She did for everybody. She took people into her own home and helped, and she was a good person that made a bad choice. So after her passing, our great friend, Marcia, at Portside, she came to me. Dorchester County, that was the first year, 2017, that Dorchester County went purple for opioid abuse. And Marcia come to me and said, "Hey, I got an idea. Let's do a fundraiser in Roxanne's name for Dorchester Goes Purple." So we did a fundraiser, and out of that fundraiser, we made a fair amount of money. Everybody always likes to have more. So in that, there was 2 recovery houses that we donate money to. And then I was introduced to Emma with her group down here, and we gave a small a portion of the proceeds to her. And from that time on, we've kind of been joined at the hip on some things. So, and down here, they do a great help for the youth. And Emma, do you want to explain exactly what you guys do?
Sure. So we are a substance abuse facility for teenage boys about to be teenage girls. We're going co-ed in a few weeks. So I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I believe people come into your life for a reason at the right time. So we had been we had helped a lot with Dorchester Goes Purple. The boys do a lot of volunteer work. And one Saturday, I never work Saturdays, and one Saturday morning, Bob pops up to the camp and introduces himself, and he shares a story with one of my co-workers and I, who has been struggling with some of the same issues in terms of her family. So we cried a little bit, we laughed a little bit, and he was generous enough to give us this money for the boys. So for the longest time, we just didn't know what to do with this money. We wanted to make sure it made sense, that it honored Roxanne, but we didn't know her. So we were just trying to make it right. So we have animals here, we have horses here. And I don't know if you know, but the gestation period for a horse is 11 months. We thought all of our horses were fixed. And one of our female horses we were brought two horses that, to be honest with you, we didn't want. And the guy made us a deal and said, listen, if you just have the boys train these horses, I promise you they won't stay. I said, okay. So the boys worked with the animals. Everything was great. He calls me and says, do you want a horse trailer? Well, of course I want a horse trailer. So he brings the horse trailer back, and inside of this horse trailer was a horse by the name of Wolf. So we end up, for all intents and purposes, getting stuck with a horse named Wolf. So all this time goes past, and this horse looks like she's getting fat. The vet says that she just hay belly, everything is okay. And probably the week of the anniversary of Roxanne's passing, I get a call from the maintenance guy saying we just had a baby. I didn't have a baby with the maintenance guy. This was a 4-legged baby. So the 4-legged baby pops out just before the anniversary of Roxanne's passing, and we said, there it is. So we were praying that she was a girl. She was a girl, so she was named Roxy. So at that point, we were able to pass Roxy forward because there was another family that has been impacted by the opioid crisis. So once Roxy turned 6 months old and we did the initial training, we passed her on to another family. So everything has been connected through Roxanne since Bob and I met. So we then decided, how many years later, that, you know, because of the pandemic, our kid numbers were down. We were trying to figure out how we were going to make it. And someone says, why don't you look at bringing girls onto the program? So once I picked myself up off the ground and said, that's a ridiculous idea, we started to really think about it. And our maintenance guy came up to us and says, we should really do this girls program and we should call it Roxanne's Hope. Well, that was it for us. We all got involved in it. We were all 1000% behind it. Just naming it after her gave us all the sense of purpose that we needed. So we may be a little bit crazy, but as soon as that building was named, it gave us purpose. So we do things a little bit differently in terms of, with juveniles, we believe in kids making informed decisions. So all of my kids have drug and alcohol issues. We've seen the majority of our kids have been subjected to some kind of trauma. So they've been using drugs to cope. So if grandma has cancer and I'm smoking weed and I tell you not to smoke weed, grandma still has cancer. So we have to teach kids different coping skills. So we're really looking at first challenge is being open and honest. To some kids, that's really difficult, because if I tell you the truth, you either use it against me or I'm admitting something. So the second challenge, it's really about looking at the responsibility of, or what we liked about it. They clearly liked something or they wouldn't do it. So some of our kids like to get high, but the majority of kids are masking some kind of trauma. So we have to get to the bottom of that because their coping skills have been working for them. It's just not what we want them to do. So really looking about the responsibility of them and others in their drug use too, because some of our kids use with their parents. So if we're sending the kids back home, they're going back into that environment. So we're really trying to look at really what the reason is, not why do they act the way they do, but what happened to them. And once you frame the dialogue that way, it becomes much easier for kids to kind of buy into what you're doing and really look at taking a risk and doing something different. So we focus very much on social skills. Like I said, our 7 challenges is our substance abuse model, which we love. We do sanctuary model, which is trauma-informed care. So we're trying, you can't treat one thing without the other. The majority of our kids are dual diagnosed, so we're trying to stop them self-medicating and figuring out, along with a medication regime, if they need it, along with therapy, school. Like I said, volunteer work has been huge for us. Our kids are very active in the community and they love the feeling of being thanked, you know, because they're not used to it. You know, when people are like, thank you for doing that, they're like, okay, thank you, you're good, you know. So that's really our connection. Again, the girls program, where I'm at the point where I can say I'm very excited about it. But it's been, I mean, it really has been a blessing having Bob and his wife in our lives. So again, people are brought into your life at the right time.
I definitely believe that. Definitely believe that. So Bob, did you have some statistics for us?
I do have some, and I'll just talk about the year of 2017 when Roxanne passed away. In 2017, in the state of Maryland, there was 2,247 people died of opioid abuse. Of that, in Dorchester County alone, we had 7 cocaine deaths, 7 fentanyl deaths, and then they had 13 considered other deaths by prescription drugs. So and Portia, you know, this community, we're small, we're tight knit, and it's a problem, and it's across the board. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter about your wealth. Once it gets the kids and even the older adults, the numbers I'm looking at here, the average death in 2017 of opioid use was 36 years of age. That's scary, because we're losing a generation of that 25 to 40 because of opioid use, because of addiction, period. But the majority of it is opioids, and now with the fentanyl, that is, last year the fentanyl outdid the heroin in the state 5-1. So when Roxanne was in one of her meetings or in one of her rehab centers, we were in a meeting one day, and the gentleman said that out of every 10 that came to the facility, one would be cured, one would walk away from abuse, 9 will come back. Of those 9, 6 will fail one way or another, either in prison or death. So, you know, the odds, 60% of opioid or addicts from opioids pass away. And that's a proven fact. And you know, we're coming out of this pandemic, but we still got, and people think I'm crazy when I say opioids is a pandemic. It's not a crisis. It's not a crisis. It's a pandemic, because it's affecting. If you look at the total deaths in the country, it's over 200,000 of opioid use. You know, that shouldn't be. You know, please tell your young followers or your parents or your grandparents that if they have young children that are athletically inclined and are out playing sports and they get hurt, don't let them give them an opioid for pain. Ask for, you know, a Tylenol or an Aleve or, you know, ibuprofen, because that some of the girls that I've met through what do we do at the recovery houses, some of them were athletes, and some of them, because they tore an ACL and they were put on opioids and they never got off of them. And this is, you know, this is where it starts at. And I know doctors have got a job, but I still think it's overprescribed. And being a parent of a daughter that died of opioids, yes, I'm very against it. Same way with some of the state programs, the Suboxone program and the methadone program. Me personally, I didn't see it help Roxanne. Me personally, I thought it was just a legal way for people to stay high. But that's my opinion.
Gotcha. About how young do you see these young people coming in?
Oh,
Americans or your
Emma's, how young you see him?
well, the youngest that we can take is 14 and the oldest is 18. They can turn 19 in our program, but the maximum is 18.
Yeah.
And you see them as young as 14?
Yes.
Well, wow. Wow.
And,
Now,
and I've seen them in some of the Celebrate recoveries younger than that. Preteen, 11, 12 years old. And it usually starts out as either alcohol or pot. And then it progresses from there. But yes, I have seen 12 at some of the Celebrate recovery groups. I have seen them as young as 12 and 13.
And I think by the time they get to us, I mean, we're, when we do our admissions, surveys and assessments, I mean, we're looking at kids saying 9, 10, 11 was their first exposure to marijuana.
Yes.
I mean, that's a pretty common age. So, I mean, it's really important that schools start talking to these kids and families start talking to their kids. If you haven't done it by the time they leave elementary school, it's too late.
Yes.
I mean, we have to be talking to we have to talk to kids and have open and honest dialogue with them as young as elementary school.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking, if you're looking at your medicine cabinet, I mean, kids are, if you tell a kid don't do something, you'll be like, oh, I wonder why I'm being told not to. That sounds exciting, and you just look in your family's medicine cabinet.
And don't be afraid, parents, grandparents, to look at your children's phones, their iPads, what they're doing, who they're talking to on social media, what they're looking at on social media. Yes, they're going to be upset with you, but a lot of it goes through social media.
Some of these drugs are being delivered through social
media. Social media, yeah, right.
Right to the door.
Right to the door. So it's like I said, it's a bigger problem than people realize.
And it's a problem. Zero color.
Yeah.
It's impacting everybody. I mean, these drugs that are being, I mean, they're, you can get fentanyl through the mail, as long as you're connected. I mean, it's not difficult to do, and these poor families are coming home after work and finding their kids who have never touched fentanyl before are finding them dead on the floor because they didn't know what they were taking.
And talking to the medical examiner of Roxanne's, they said from the time she ingested the cocaine with the fentanyl was less than 8 minutes from the time she took it to the time of her death. That's how quick it works. And I can take you right here in Dorchester County to a couple convenience stores at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we could sit there and you could see so much change hands between money and drugs.
Shut up.
I'm serious. And I've talked to people and they know about it, but they got bigger, I want to say bigger fish to fry. Does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Or their hands are tied because they, they're, I don't want to say afraid because there isn't a law enforcement officer I know that's afraid of his job. But as things are today, they have to be double careful of how they handle things.
Yeah.
So these little things, dealing drugs, they're letting them go. I mean, use Baltimore as an example. The state's attorney up there saying, well, we're not going to prosecute because it's not a bad crime. Tell that to have her come in and tell that to me that, a part of my heart is gone and missing because, the guy that sold her the drugs was out on bail to start with and, was on probation, or I take it wrong. He was on probation for 7 years for dealing drugs and got caught again after Roxanne died. So, and he's back out again. So there's
it's a vicious circle. It really is. very vicious. Before I pass it on to Kira, I wanted to know, now you mentioned the color purple. What was the significance of the color purple?
Chris Hayden, and is that Chris Hayden? He was a basketball player, NBA star. He was a heroin addict, and he became clean after losing his family and everything that he had. And he goes around to schools in the country and talks to students. And at one of his events, and if I remember right from listening to him speak here in Dorchester County, was 2 years ago, there was a young girl in the audience, and she stood up and she wore purple. She had purple on, and she said that was the color that she had on for the person that she had lost through opioids. And he jumped on that. And so it's go purple. If you ever get a chance to Google him, Chris Herring, he's got a great foundation. He works with a lot of people. So.
Okay. That's I just love the information that you shared, and thank you for being so transparent. And you got it. You got through it.
There is no, it's transparency. There is no shortcuts about it. It is what it is. It's out there, and it affects every family. People ask my wife and I how we got through it. Our faith was number one. It pulls on you. It pulls on your faith. It pulls on your finances. It pulls on the family structure. So you've got to be close knit. We've seen families pulled apart because of this, and it's not good.
Well, I just want to commend you for engaging with the community on this fight against opioid addiction. It's not easy, especially after what you've gone through. And I really do appreciate your transparency and your commitment to helping people who've gone through this and who are going through this right now. That program sounds really, really good.
She's got it working.
Yeah, and I too believe that nothing just happens by chance, and that people come into your life for a purpose. So I'm just really, really happy for that. And one thing I really like that you touched on about how, opioid abuse has, it doesn't look like one type of person, because it doesn't. And I just need our viewers to understand that it's really, really so easy to get addicted to opioids. And just to tell you how the human body works real quick, because some people, I've had friends like, oh, that could never be me, I'm never gonna do that. Well, I've also had friends who are athletes and who had a little problem with opioid use because they had injuries. And
Yes.
and the thing is, opioids, when used in the right way, are not bad. Like they're there to relieve pain. So of course, the human body can go through a lot of trauma, and you may need opioids so that you can just cope and make it, through that hard pain. But when you get addicted to it, that's when the problem starts, because your body literally needs that. So I don't want people to think like, oh, well, it's just, why don't they just stop? Well, actually some people who are addicted to opioids can't just stop, because it's a chemical reaction happening in your body. So your body going without it, you can't just stop abruptly, because you could, well, most likely you would die, from complications.
Yes.
And just to let people know, all of us, everyone that's a human being, has opioid receptors in your body, because that's how they work. So when you take an opioid, okay, whether it's Oxycontin, hydrocodone, that's the one thing, doctors prescribe a lot, like, oh, here's some hydrocodone, here's some vitamin, for your pain. That opioid, it attaches to your opioid receptors, which are naturally in your body. Everybody has it. And once it binds to that, it connects to your nervous system, which then sends the signal, okay, we're going to relieve some pain here. Right. So I just wanted to make that known, because it's so easy to get addicted to it. You already have receptors in your body. That's how we're made. So when your body chemically gets addicted to that and you need that, that's where that drug addiction starts. So I don't want people to, just be so judgmental all the time if you see someone struggling with this opioid addiction, because it could be you so easily,
or a family member.
And how would you want someone to entreat your family member that's going through that, So let's just have a little bit more kindness to one another and a little more support of let's see how we can help that person or those individuals rather than passing on judgment so easily. So that's all I have to say, but I just want to thank you guys for coming on our broadcast today. This is such an important topic. Like I said, no respected person is excused from it, no age at all. So this is something that we have to battle together to help our communities.
And we could talk on this subject for hours.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, but again, Portia, thank you guys for letting us be a part of your program.
And thank you for saying yes to come. And then Roxanne has been exposed to the whole world in the sense of Roxanne's Hope. Is that it?
Roxanne's Hope, yes.
Roxanne's Hope. So whenever you have another fundraiser, holler at your girl, and at least I can support.
This fall, we're going to have. I got a niece that's very good in fundraising, and she's going to do some fundraisers for the fall, and we're looking at starting a scholarship for Roxanne for the girls here that would, when they're ready to leave, that would clothe them with clothes, do a makeover, so they're able to go on an interview to start their life over again. That's what it's about. So.
And Miss
All
Portia,
right.
the next time you're in Dorchester County, you have to come visit.
Yes.
I definitely will. So again, thank you so very much for sharing that information. And before we go, Bob, let's give a shout out to Marcia for, let's see, Portside Seafood Restaurant. You have to make sure you go and visit. They sell good food. Really good food.
And it's funny because she called me, and then Sally and Terry, of course, the three amigos, they set it up. They were the ones involved in it, and we had a very good supporting cast. So, but that's what us classmates do. We get together, don't we?
It is, and I'm appreciative of that. Just to say that we had a gathering a few weeks ago, and we had a wonderful time. And we close in prayer. So what class does that? The class of 1976. That's what
we do, don't we? We have
all
a good
good
time. Hey, we play together and we pray together.
That's wonderful. Yep, that's what we did. That's good.
Yep.
So again, thank you, everyone. And please share this information. Don't wait until you're in this particular situation. But as Takira said, we're not judgmental over what happens or this happening with you, but we want to share love. We want to share hope, encouragement, and inspiration. So we're going to leave you on today, but just know that we will be back tomorrow with another message of hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Blessings to you.
Bye.